Good evening, comrades. This is your brother Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier 4D. Today I want to discuss a topic about entrappers, people who set traps, hunters. In some of the previous topics we talked about predators. This falls along that same line, but this is more about the system that has more or less like a catchment area or a net that they can spread to catch people into certain situations. And we do not take any responsibility from the entrapped to account for his ways. Some of us walk into traps knowing that there's a risk or a danger imposing us should we walk in certain paths that are nothing but trouble. This type of topic is really geared towards or slanted towards my brothers in the struggle, of the Black African struggle. Some of us don't want to be identified as Black African. We just want to be called Black. Some of us want to be called African American. Some of us want to be called by their nationality on the continent, the Nigerian. I'm speaking to all you brothers, and I call you the Black African, so that we can understand that we're family extended over certain geographical regions and certain areas of land in the diaspora or on the continent, that we share a similar experience of prevailing against a history and a current situation of oppression and trying to strive against the odds. So I'm speaking specifically to the Black African male. And I want the female to listen, because she has a role to play in this, and we may move to her role after we deal with this man. And I start this off thinking about a lot of my brothers that are incarcerated, that are behind bars. Some of them have made decisions that have landed them in behind bars for a long time. And they don't hardly get a chance to get out, to try to get a second chance, third chance. And then some of my brothers are just in and out of lockup. Okay. And so when I talked about this title, it's called Entrapment and Ensnare. The entrapment and the ability of enemies and hunters and people who do not care about you, do not have your best interest at heart, are going to still do what they do best. And when you, like in the book of Proverbs, it talks about making good decisions, not running with a companion of fools or you will be destroyed, not going in the way of mischievous men, because those ways are the ways that will lead you down the wrong way. But some of us choose to go down those ways anyway, banking on the fact that they may not get caught or they may not get entrapped or snared, but all the time you have the henchman and the hangman out there waiting for you to make the wrong move. And if you don't make the wrong move, if that's not enough, they're going to launch an offensive to maneuver you into those paths, because they don't care about you. They have power. They outnumber you, especially in the diaspora, especially in North America. They outnumber us. So they have positional advantage. They have legal systems that are positionally set to have an advantage over you and a disadvantage for you. They have the advantage. And so when you play around in those kind of systems, the majority of the time you're going to come up on the losing end. You're going to come up on the end where you're separated from your family and from your loved ones. You're going to come up against a system that may let you back out, but they still have shackles on you. They have monitoring devices on you. They have probationary periods, parole periods that you have to fulfill that still tie you into that system. And to some degree, you have become their slave. You have become their cult, prized possession in order to control and dominate you at the fullest of the word domination. And then you got to deal with the foolishness and the evil behind bars of the kind of men that are incarcerated in those conditions, and you have to survive in that, so it's not really worth it. So you take your chances in the free world, and you still feel bound and limited and subjected to oppressive means. And if that's just not enough, you got men of your own race who are political agitators that intensify the oppression because they sympathize with the white establishment and the overseers against their own brothers. If you're not beating them and fighting them in one aspect, you got to fight people and members of your own group that are sold out to their conquerors. Instead of them being soldiers and fighting the cause on the side that they're supposed to fight, they join ranks with the oppressor and they go against their own brothers. They do it in the form of black on black crimes, some of them knowingly, some of them unknowingly. They do it in the form of black on black administrative procedures where they use the systems such as the workforce and the work environment to keep you subjected to harsh situations where you can't really rise up the ladder. They use puppets, just like they do in Africa on the continent, to control you. This is called indirect rule. Indirect rule is a tool used by oppressors since the beginning. For 300 and some odd years, according to the book Black Revolts, Racial Stratification by Joseph Scott, 300 years of these strategies. And then they have been effective. They've been able to work. And along that slave system, when they were controlling us in that slave system, chattel slavery, which is physical property, you had so many different strategies, litigation, legislation used to keep blacks in a place of servitude. And even whites, people who do not agree with this kind of system, that kind of system, and any other oppression that blacks go through, the laws were made to such a degree that they had to comply, because the laws would punish them for helping slaves escape or helping people further their cause. White terrorism was used to intimidate whites who tried to help blacks who tried to fight their way out of situations. So, and I'd say they have situational advantage. You would be a fool to play your life into the hands of an enemy when he has so many advantages on your race? It's foolish. If we end up in incarceration, in a state of while we're incarcerated or something, let them do it to their fullest extent without help of our brothers helping them do it. Let them do it on their own. Let them catch us on their own. And we can fight gallantly together and get out of this situation. So this message is about the fowler, the word that's used in the scriptures many, many times, over 20-something, 25 times throughout the Bible. The fowler is a person who sets traps, who sets ensnarements, who lays in waits. Anybody know what a hunter does? A hunter is going out to hunt for whatever reasons, for food or to subdue something. And a hunter uses devices. He can use a net, he can use a weapon, he can use a knife, he can use a trap that he makes, homemade trap, improvised munitions, anything that he can do to keep a situational advantage over our people. And it appalls me that Negro, so-called high-profile Negro leader, and I'm using the word Negro leaders, they always want to challenge you about what's in your mind about racism and what's in your mind about being oppressed and what are you complaining about and what are you crying about in 2025 when you should be a man and you should be pulling yourself up on your own bootstraps and you should be able to maneuver without being held back by the man. Knowing good and darn well that it has always been the history of our people to be held back, especially the men. And I'm sick of them Negroes challenging you, make you second guess that your situation is a creation in your mind and that all of this is made up because you're an angry Negro. No. It's very much alive. And when people talk about institutional racism, they're talking about things that are set in the system politically that keep you at a disadvantage. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't how much money, how high you are as a celebrity. It doesn't matter how many mansions you have. It doesn't matter how many Rolls Royces you have in your garage. You're still a rich, subdued type of slave because you have no power to effect the change that keeps police and paramilitary operations from killing your sons and our daughters, killing them at will, beating them up in the middle of the street while huge groups of people can sit back and just stand back and watch. That's because they have a situational advantage at being a majority people. That's why they keep that situational advantage alive. Why haven't they brought immigrants in of the black race, the African race, to offset or balance out the numbers of people compared to white presence? Why haven't they tried to balance it out racially? They don't want that because they have a situational advantage. And they will continue praying, and wicked people and fowlers will continue praying and laying snares and entrapment. And the justice system seems to a lot of times maneuver them out of the attacks that come from the blood avengers, or those people who are the next of kin who want an answer to why their son or their daughter was unjustly killed. We even have modern day technology of cameras that's getting this stuff on camera. And they even try to say you don't see what you really think you see. So you got that game going. I have to conclude here. My time is up. I will continue in part 2 of the Fowler, the snare of the Fowler. Hotep.